ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth? I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Took but one damned week, and the army was shattered to bits and pieces. Black lads were supposed to grind their teeth against our walls. Bloody empty promise by our leaders. Commander, onward to Abbey. Bloody idiots.
There a place for me in your ranks, Your Majesty? I'd so like to serve you. I do so with loyalty deserving of my own king.
Our ballista, your command. Armor won't sir. Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. Armor won't save.
Meve's Lyrians were traversing a wood when they heard the loud, drawn-out blast of a horn.
One of our scouts?
The Queen asked, clearly perplexed. She turned in her saddle to face Reynard, who shook his head.
Strange. Gascon, appoint a few of your strays. Ones who know how to blend in. Have them sniff out who blows that horn. And why.
The scouts returned a short while later with their report. Soldiers had pitched camp in a nearby meadow. They wore Adernian uniforms, cut by sashes bearing a golden sun. They addressed their leader as Fulberson.
Know the name.
Rayla said.
Fulberson went over to the enemy first day of the war, took his whole division with him. Your Grace, a chance like this won't come again. Let's teach the traitors a lesson.
We must send a strong signal. One all the North will hear. From the Yaruga to the Dragon Mountains.
Announced the Queen.
Whoever collaborates with the invader shall pay with his head. Prepare to attack.
Rayla nodded, clearly pleased. The Lyrians surrounded the meadow marked by their scouts. Moments later, a flaming arrow pierced the sky, giving the signal to attack.
Is that Queen Meve? To arms!
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods.
As you command.
New orders? No?
Sod it. Sod it all.
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
This man has suffered much.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Don't like this.
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
Our ballista, your command.
There's not to reason why.
So much anger and suffering. For what?
Alba!
mercy, your grace. We surrender.
The traitors, perhaps used to fighting unsuspecting foes, stood no chance against the determined Lyrian attack. At its conclusion, Meve personally knocked Fulberson off his mount, then tore off his visor. The face she saw evoked more sympathy than hatred. Fulberson was an old, sickly man, his skin pale and blemished. With great difficulty, he pulled himself up on his knees, then extended a shaky hand in pleading.
Your Grace, have mercy. The Nilfgaardians forced me to treason. They threatened torture.
Meve felt her soldiers' eyes on her. They awaited her decision. How would she treat this traitor? Would she really execute him as a warning to others?
I hereby dissolve your division, Falberson. And you, surrender your sword and be on your way.
The traitor threw himself at the Queen's feet.
You've shown mercy befitting a truly great ruler, your Grace. 1,000 thanks. To the south of here lie my lands. Visit me. I shall throw a sumptuous feast in your honor and provide a generous donation to your fight against our common foe.
Meve ordered Fulberson to stand. Her Lyrians reluctantly stepped out of the departing traitor's way. When he passed Black Rayla, she spat at his feet. Meve and her Lyrians arrived at Fulberson's lands, home of the traitor she had let live. He greeted the Queen with full honors. In ceremonial garb, a platter of bread and salt held aloft.
Your Grace, 'tis an honor to welcome you to my humble abode. Please, come inside. A fattened piglet already turns on the spit. Soon I shall fetch my best wines from the cellar.
Meve, having lived on nothing but salt pork and gruel for weeks, was tempted to accept the offer. Black Rayla, however, was strongly against it.
Ma'am, forgive my insolence, but to eat from a traitor's table is foolish. Don't do it.
Meve ignored Rayla's warning, and for her part, Rayla refused to partake of the feast. The Queen attended in the company of only her closest advisors. The table groaned under all the refined delicacies laid out upon it, and rivers of wine were served. Fulberson delivered a flattering toast in Meve's honor.
You could search all the world and not find such a ruler. One so brave, so merciful, and so naive.
With these last words, heavily armed Nilfgaardian soldiers poured out of the adjoining rooms. Meve leapt away from the table, barely dodging the bolts sent flying towards her. She drew her sword.
Not so mighty now, are you, Meve?
You'll pay for this!
Falberson, slayer of the great Meve. Sounds rather good, doesn't it?
Meve, catch! I've no intention of dying today.
You fight in vain. This is where you die.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Company! Forward march!
Quick and painful this'll be.
We must trust each other.
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Her Majesty is exceptional.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. Discipline shall bring us victory!
The morrow shall bring a better day.
God, have mercy! They forced me!
Meve fought her way out of the trap, and Fulberson, a traitor twice over, finally died as he deserved, skewered on a sword in a puddle of blood.
Reynard.
Yes, Your Grace.
Should I appear ready to forgive again? To let treason go unpunished?
The Queen said, wiping her blade on a lace-fringed tablecloth.
Kindly remind me of Falberson's feast.
Meve went on her way as soon as she could, taking with her a hefty load of the oath-breaking lord's belongings and some valuable experience.
A taxidermied unicorn. Strange. What are your orders, Your Grace? Shall we take it?
I've no notion what one could possibly do with such a thing. We ride on.
Meve's path took her to the village of Eichenfurt. Unlike most settlements in the area, not a single human dwelled here. Instead, only elves and dwarves sat on its porches and stared at the passing Lyrians with clear aversion. Not a single greeting was extended to their allies in arms. Not a single peddler tried to hawk their wares. The only sound was that of snapping shutters and slamming doors.
Something's amiss,
Rayla said, furrowing her brow.
Order a halt, my lady, and give me a moment to look around.
You've a quarter of an hour.
Meve said as she dismounted.
And not a moment more.
The Queen sat in the shade of a large pear tree. She shut her eyes and listened to the chirping of crickets in the grass, savouring a rare moment of relaxation. But the calm did not last. Within moments, one of her scouts returned, a certain Sergeant Niedermere. Tears streamed down his weathered, scar-pocked face.
Lady, come with us, please. You'll need to see this for yourself.
The sergeant led her to the still, smouldering remains of a mill. Her soldiers were picking things out from the ashes. When she got closer, she realized in horror they were human skulls, some no larger than apples.
Tell the villagers to gather by the well,
the Queen said in a strained voice.
Or be executed.
The elves and dwarves attempted no denials. They admitted Eldane and his Storyteller had helped them round up all the humans in their village, march them into the mill, then set it aflame.
They stole our lands, defiled our names, beat us, murdered us in bloodthirsty pogroms,
shouted one of the dwarves.
They had it coming to them. Got their comeuppance, I'd say.
Meve was no stranger to the cruelty of war, but the enormous evil she found in Eichenfurt overwhelmed her. She felt a terrible weight on her chest, found it hard to draw breath, and her head spun. She felt she could hear the cries of humans being burned alive.
Mom,
whispered Reynard.
You must pronounce something.
Or simply turn the matter over to me, Your Grace.
Rayla interrupted.
I know what to do.
You know what you deserve,
Meve said.
but my soldiers are neither murderers nor executioners, and you are not my subjects. So I shall have you escorted to Rosberg. Let the authorities there mete out justice. With a noose, I hope.
The Queen chose a dozen soldiers and tasked them with seeing the non-humans of Iconfurt tried by an Edirnian judge. In doing so, she weakened her forces, but saved herself and her Lyrians from having to carry out a bloody sentence by their own hand.
What was that?
Meve asked Reynard, who rode beside her.
A scream. A man's, I think.
Need to investigate. Gather a few men and we ride. Quickly!
The screaming came from a small settlement. When Meve rode up to its farmhouses, her horse reared and neighed in terror. Necrophages swarmed all around. The monsters surrounded a few Nilfgaardians who were trying, with no success, to chase them off with torches. Reynard swept his gaze over the carnage and said,
They cannot stave them off, and their armor is too heavy for them to flee.
Meve was uncertain at first how to act. But when she saw ghouls snatch one of the Nilfgaardians and rip him to shreds, she drew her sword.
No one deserves such a death. Not even a Nilfgaardian. Follow me! Lower your weapons! We're here to rescue you!
This evil I shall trample out, root and branch!
I live to serve you.
Why do you help us?
Again and again and again.
Armor won't say.
Cursed traitors. Let the ghouls eat them, I say.
Silence! The Queen has made her decision.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Pays late. Again.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
I'll fight to my last breath.
Fear not! We shall achieve our goal! Catch!
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. worked, Your Grace. The monsters flee.
The Lyrians and the Nilfgaardians fought the monsters side by side, a united force. But when the last necrophage fell, the soldiers immediately returned to their respective divisions. Meve's soldiers looked at the invaders askance, uncertain what would happen next. Suddenly, one of the Nilfgaardians broke ranks and fell to his knees.
Your Grace, I know you have no reason to trust us, but we are not enemies. We hail from Geso, a land Nilfgaard conquered and made its province. We did not ask to fight in this war by force. We were conscripted.
The soldier hefted his sword by the blade and handed it, hilt first, to the Queen.
We yearned for a way to desert, and we have found it. Your Grace, allow us to join your army. We long for the Empire's defeat every bit as much as you do.
Meve helped the kneeling soldier to his feet.
The enemy of Nilfgaard is my friend, no matter who he is or whence he hail.
The Lyrians were clearly displeased with their queen's decision. The black-clad deserters from Geso would need to earn their trust. Coming across a small brook, Meve ordered her soldiers to replenish their water supplies. When they returned, it was with empty water skins and troubled expressions.
Milady, the water tastes of blood. Not like black pudding, mind, but rancid, filthy.
Meve had no choice but to march on. She gulped dryly and wondered how to interpret this strange event. An omen, perhaps? A warning from the gods? She soon learned the truth. Following the brook upstream, the Lyrians arrived at a small pool. Bobbing on its surface were dozens of corpses. A young woman caught Meve's gaze, her long hair spread delicately atop the water, wide-open eyes reflecting the sky, a fine nose peppered with freckles. and a gaping wound slashed across her throat.
We shall stop here,
The Queen said calmly.
and give these souls a proper burial. Reynard, send scouts. Tell them they are not to return until they ascertain what has happened here.
When the scouts returned a while later, they brought with them a barefooted peasant they'd found hiding in the woods. They claimed he hailed from Horton, a nearby village, the village whose inhabitants had been murdered.
Them black-clad wretches stormed the village, milady. The devil Thronebreaker at the fore. Rounded us right up, took us down to the lake. Whole village, mind. They'd chop, chop, and splosh, splosh. 'Twas I alone gave 'em the slip.
Meve listened to the man's tale, then placed him in the care of her medics and ordered the Lyrians to break camp. She rode at the head of their column, Reynard at her side, her knuckles gripped white on the reins.
Do we know where this Frigef is stationed?
Our riders report he's pitched camp to the east.
Then let's pay him a call.
They killed all, like Rosberg. My lady, please, make them pay.
Milka, Bezrad, Kristan, all killed. Souls snuffed out to the very last. Could have run for help, I know. But I was afeard. Afeard the black-lads would catch wind of me, hear me. What now? Whatever will I do? Alone. Left all alone. Me lady, buried our valuables for the black-lads came. In the wood, near a big boulder. Got a bit of charcoal? I can sketch the way for you. Milka, Bezra. What now? What now? Milka.
The Lyrians had no trouble finding Vrigef's camp. It was the size of a sprawling town. Meve stopped her caravan and called for a council. The first to speak was Reynard.
Seems our scouts were both right and wrong, Your Grace. They did pinpoint General Frigef, the Butcher of Horton. Unfortunately, they underestimated his detachment. It is much larger and better armed than our own.
That changes nothing.
Meve said, forestalling all protest.
If I leave him unpunished, without so much as an attempt, I shall never be able to face my reflection again. We must attack.
Reynard bowed and passed the order to the Lyrians. Later that same day, Meve and Vrigef's forces stood face to face on the field of battle.
Frigef! It's time you pay for your crimes!
I live to serve you.
Yeah, yeah!
I smell a leak.
You are dogs!
There! Frigga! I see him! We've got to catch him!
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
We'll catch them all! Thing about slings, they hide well.
Whoresomes.
Oh, Lyrian lummoxes.
Hail Katza!
I saw them. No other way.
Getting to work.
armor won't say.
Lyria!
One bullet's all I need.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
The Lyrians won the day, despite their foe's distinct advantage. Historians later ascribed Meve's victory to her light troops' superior maneuverability in the difficult terrain compared to the plate-clad Nilfgaardians. But if you ask me, that wasn't it at all. A storm of fury had been quietly gathering in the Lyrians' hearts, a squall of rage stoked by the Nilfgaardians' unparalleled cruelty towards the conquered. And no one embodied this barbarism more perfectly than General Frigga. Meve's men were ready to sacrifice anything to see him punished. They dragged the defeated general before Meve. The Queen wished to learn why he'd ordered the execution of an entire village, how the Nilfgaardians could possibly justify such a crime.
2 weeks prior, I'd sent a detachment to Horton to procure feed. Captain Gaynor commanded it. While he was verifying their grain stores, they barricaded him in the barn and put it to flame.
The Queen listened to the general's story, her face a mask, betraying nothing.
Murdered. One man was murdered.
Frigga raised his eyes to Meve's. The Queen was surprised to see them wet with tears.
Yes, my lady. My son.
The general's simple words bore pain, grief, and a thirst for revenge that would never be slaked. The Queen had to decide what to do with Frigga. No doubt the general had earned punishment, the harshest possible at that. Yet, such a weighty personage could fetch a hefty ransom, and Meve's army desperately needed the gold. In the end, the Queen decided to return the general for a golden ransom. Whether she chose the path out of mercy, moved by the Nilfgaardians' tears, or out of pure material calculation, sensing an excellent chance to replenish her war chest, it is hard to say. One thing is certain. Her men were crestfallen at the news. They had challenged Frigga's greatly superior forces in the name of justice, not gold. As Meve passed the city of Harmelin, one of the peasants she'd saved from Nilfgaardian captivity requested an audience.
Be taking leave of you here, my lady. Folk from our parts lives in Harmelin. We'll manage. But, my lady, we thank you for taking pity on us, time and again. We've nothing, my lady, or nears enough. Black-clad bastards took all's worth taking. Except in this amulet. Been in my family for ages, kept us from harm. May it do the same for you.
Meve wanted to say she did not believe in peasant superstitions, but when she took the ivory pendant in hand, she felt a curious warmth from it. The peasant bowed, then joined the others as they trod off towards Harmelin.
We're safe behind these walls. At least for now we are. You've twice shown us mercy, my lady. My little A bless you twice over just the same. This pendant, your majesty. Wear it round your neck, always. It'll keep evil from you. You've twice shown us...